say. So
is he in good spirits?
he's okay. Yeah, obviously a bit under sedate, bit of sedation, but he's okay, and he'll fly back. We'll delay his flight home. Probably fly back Wednesday.
What do you make of it?
And I thought Billy showed a great chin as well. And you know, to the body shots, some were blocked, but you know, I thought he boxed well. He came to win, and some people haven't come to win against Canelo Alvarez, and there's no shame in not being good enough to beat him.
It was quick update on Billy Joe. Is he okay?
Yeah, I was at the hospital earlier. He's got a triple fracture in his eye socket, orbital, so he's being operated on at 5 o'clock today.
Daniel Dubois obviously suffered an orbital fracture.
Did he?
Yeah.
I haven't seen any scans or anything. I don't know. I don't
Well, that's what the reports are, that he's suffered nerve damage and an orbital fracture.
The report from what?
Well, that's what I've read. It's the same sources we get probably 99% of our information from, Edward.
No, I think most people would post some kind of X-ray. I'm not a doctor, but it didn't look. It looked like eye swelling to me, not necessarily a fracture. But what do I know? But we'll see. I mean, I think the problem was probably a little bit deeper than that. I mean, firstly, when he came out, I looked at him before the fight, and after the first round, you could tell he'd frozen, right? From the fourth round, I'll drop in my little, I text AJ, and I told him this body language is horrendous. The corner were telling Daniel Dubois after 4 rounds, was it 4th round? This is the fight game. Come on, you got. It's like whoa. We ain't even got started in the fight yet. So that tells you probably more than some people know, because it was very strange.
What's good, family? Smash the like button and subscribe. So we just heard there from Eddie, Fast Car, Hearns. Now, I can't lie to you, man. And for those of my loyal dons out there who follow the channel somewhat religiously, you'll know that my respect for Hearn's gone down expeditiously in the last few days. Well, since the Billy Ho Saunders fight, he's shown he's just a complete money shill. Yeah? There was a time I would argue for Eddie Hearn. I mean, he's got some good qualities. I'm not saying he's completely a wrong un, but end of the day, he's not a truth speaker like I thought he was. What we do know is, as you saw at the start of this video, when Daniel Dubois was injured, Eddie Hearn wanted all the scans, etc., etc. And I understand being I understand being cynical. But make sure you're all the way cynical. Yeah? When your man Billy Ho, who by the way has been slagging you off all week, saying how treacherous you are, when he had an alleged injury, you was straight in the interview. Oh, Billy, yep, his 3 times crushed and his touch and go. We've brought the priest in to read him his last rites, and yeah, well, it wasn't him anyway. Billy Ho didn't quit. His team dragged him out of there. They made the right decision. It wasn't Billy. He wanted to fight on. He's a warrior. Other people have quit, not Billy. Other people have turned up for a paycheck. Billy came to win. All this shilling. Essentially, selling your other fighters out, or selling out other fighters who, by the way, have been knocked spark out. The last man got knocked spark out. Everyone else got worked as much as, if not more than Billy. But for some reason, Billy is the beacon of light. Billy's the one who really turned up, and everyone else has sold their belt. Oh, and Billy didn't quit, and it was all his team. His team pulled him out. It wasn't his choice. He wanted to fight on. All this shilling. And yet, making all these claims about the medical stuff, where's the evidence? And I'm not a stickler for evidence. Other people have made points about, well, we don't want to share private information. Yeah, don't share it. But you came out with Daniel Dubois and demanded, we can't believe that. Yeah, we can't believe it because we ain't seen no medical information. Where's the medical information? Because you best believe, if I've made a big deal out of something, if I'd have sat there and told you, yep, Daniel Dubois, we need to see medical information. When it's my fighter in a similar situation, which to be honest, Billy Ho looked alright. He was putting it on thick. Billy Ho was laying it on real thick in the corner, closing his eyes, squinting, and after the fight was done, his eye pinged open. It pinged right open. I've never seen someone so, what do they call it? Bushy-eyed and bushy-tailed and, I don't know. His eyes was wide, either way. His tail was bushy and his eyes was wide. How about that? All the way wide they was after the fight. The minute the doctor stepped in, who by the way said he's alright to carry on, his eye was closing and giving it that one. What we do know is, Daniel Dubois, there was no closing the eye. No closing the eye. His eye was done. Same as Emily Bridges, I think her name is. Whatever her name is. Ebony, sorry. There's a whole bag of, man. There's a whole bag of examples of people with their eye has been ruined. Timothy, forgot his name. Yeah, but either way, there's a whole bag of examples. And not just their eye. We've seen people's chins demolished. Their eyes also demolished. A whole lot demolished, and they fought on. Daniel Dubois didn't fight on, but his eye was well and truly bust. That's what we do know. There weren't no always blinking. His eye was done. Eye was bulbous. Billy was fresh. You got some really goofy fans saying, Billy is a warrior. He fought on for 90 seconds. You're making out he got hit in the first round. Billy Ho got hit in the 8th round and was out of there 90 seconds later. Where's the warrior in that? Daniel Dubois went back and back and back and back and got hit on the same place again and again and again and again by a 300-pound trained man. Big heavy puncher. Joe Joyce. Canelo Alvarez does punch hard, but he's a 168-pound man. It's only so hard they can punch compared to a 260-pound man. Again and again and again, Joyce was jabbing him in there, and he went back out. Did he finish the fight? No, but he went out there a few times at least to give it a go. Billy Ho didn't go out there once. He got hit in the 8th and was out of there in the 8th. So in terms of evidence, in terms of who we need to see evidence for, I need to see evidence that Billy Ho has got a damaged eye, since you've set the precedent. Or since you've made a big deal about, we can't believe anything until we've seen the scans. Where are the scans, Eddie? We need to know. Because you came out shilling, it's so bad, and the priest came in, and we've read him his last rites, and where's the evidence of this? Because from what I saw, he looked fine to me. A little bit of a scratch, and you know what? Don't take my opinion, because I've never boxed before. There's professional boxers coming out in their tens saying, I've had exactly the same injury and worse, and I pushed through. And they're going on the basis that what you're saying is true. We don't even know it's true, and I don't believe it myself. I think that Eddie Hearn's just shilling. Because if he's such a stickler for facts, I think the reason we haven't seen those scans, if Eddie Hearn had the scans, he'd put them out. Do you know how I know this? Cast your mind back to Kell Brook. Kell Brook, Eddie Hearn put the scans out, no doubt. Eddie Hearn put the scans out for Kell Brook. So where are the scans for Billy Ho? That's what we need to know right now. So all in all, right now, maybe if Eddie Hearn comes down later, down the line and puts them out there, I'll retract this and say I'm sorry and I'm wrong. But as of now, Eddie Hearn kicked up a big fuss, slagging off Daniel Dubois, which many other people have liked to switch the focus to. This, I feel like, Billy Ho just jacked in the corner, and more people are talking about Daniel Dubois. Billy fought on for 90 seconds. It's completely different. Daniel jacked. Daniel Dubois jacked, but Billy Ho fought on. But Billy Ho had this. Billy Ho's was this. All these people who haven't got a clue what's real and what's not real, all of a sudden have no evidence about what actually happened, or have no evidence of actual scans. They're claiming, Eddie said it's 3 fractures and his brain's traumatized and giving it all that business. But you, man, don't know anything apart from what Eddie Hearn's told you. Evidence-wise, could just be a bruise. And, you can see it in his chin. If you actually watch Billy Ho in the week, when Billy Ho goes skinny, his cheeks do suck in anyway. Billy Ho's got really prominent cheekbones. And when he loses weight, they really suck in. So his face looks sunken anyway. Look at McGregor, for example. McGregor's the best example. When McGregor was fighting at 145, his face was completely sunk in. That's not an injury. That's how he looked anyway, because he's obviously in shape, Billy Ho. There was no evidence of, his chin's caved in and his eyes caved. Where was that? And either way, like I said, fighters, not me, fighters who have had the same injuries have fought on and got through it. Timothy Bradley. I think when he fought Prodnikov, whoever it was. Look at Timothy Bradley. No eye. We've seen Dons with both eyes gone in there. So Eddie Hearn could have come out and said, listen, Billy fought well, and that's the end of that. But for him to come out and put this, it wasn't Billy. Billy's a warrior. Billy came and did more than most. Others have come to sell their belt, not Billy. Others have quit, not Billy. Billy's got 3 times strained, and his brain's traumatized, and he's, you know what I'm saying, the priest been in. And you haven't given us no evidence of this. If you come with the evidence, and even then, that's the thing. Ultimately, even if you showed the evidence, other fighters who've had the same of what you're claiming have said it's livable. You can push through it. And by the way, I'm not even sure about the technicality of how bad it is or how not bad it is. The bottom line for me is, other fighters have at least gone out for another round. Bare minimum, another round. This was the first round that injury was sustained in. Because the uppercut, I'm not lying, that uppercut was big. But the first round that injury was sustained, he was out of there. What's the worry about that? It's the first round. No one does that. Normally, you sustain an injury in a round, and you give it another one. Bare minimum, bare bones. I've really... In fact, you know what? Don't take my opinion for it. I'm not a historian. You give me an example where someone sustained an injury like that, and they've got out of there in the same round. Kell Brook got injured by Triple G. He was in there for a round or 2 more. And he was fighting someone 2-3 weights bigger than him. Billy Joe was actually bigger than Canelo Alvarez, noticeably. I actually was thinking before the fight, Billy Joe looks a lot bigger than him. I thought, and at the time, I thought it may play a critical role, given how big Billy Joe looked compared to Canelo Alvarez. The size difference was noticeable. Kettle Brook was in there with a man two divisions bigger than him, and also a phenomenal puncher. He took his licks, went a few more rounds. The towel actually went in. Kelly Brook wasn't looking for a way out. Yes, he was getting banged up, and rightly so, by a massive puncher and 2 weight divisions difference, but he was in there taking his licks. And his eye was crusted up. The Errol Spence fight, his eye got crusted up again, hit in the same place, double damage, double whammy. Other fight he was clearly winning. He lasted, I think, 3, 4, 5 more rounds before he eventually was out of there. No doubt. Billy Ho, listen, what we know about Billy Ho is he didn't try and push a little bit more. And the fact he's been so critical about everyone else, not just Daniel Dubois, but also about their performances. You know what? Smith gave his belt in. Smith didn't come to fight. Smith lasted 12 rounds. Other British fighters are coming to sell. Other British fighters sold their belt. Not me. And for Eddie Hearn to back that up and say, other people have... He said it, 100%. Eddie Hearn said, other fighters have come and not did their best. Other fighters have come and not come to win. Billy did come to win. So he's basically saying that everyone else, Billy is such a great example. Even though he was slagging you off only a week ago. But you know what? I understand not holding a grudge. What I don't understand is lying for someone blatantly. Especially when you're supposed to be a truth teller. And better yet, especially when you've been critical of others in the same situation. Daniel Dubois. The evidence. I've got no problem, yeah. If Eddie Hearn had come out and said, you know what guys, Billy Joe had 3 times, what have they called it? 3 times cracks. And attach the pictures. That there is what you call fact telling. That's not shilling. Shilling is when you take something no one can verify and plug it out there and add a whole load of narrative. He's a warrior, and it's touch and go, and there's no evidence. And you held others to a higher standard. You was holding Frank Warren and Daniel Dubois to a higher standard. And I'm questioning now why Kell Brook's photos are out there, but Billy's ain't. I'll tell you why. Billy, nothing wrong with him. Billy only got hit once. Golovkin was pounding away on a small Kell. No doubt. Spence was pounding away on him. On the same broken injury as well, by the way. Billy Joe never really taken any damage in his life. And by the way, has never actually been put down either in the Alvarez fight. Had never been put down in the Alvarez fight. Has taken no damage throughout his career. And he gets hit once, and it's it's so bad, and it's the worst injury ever, but he fought through like a warrior, and it wasn't him, his team pulled him out, and he was raring to go, and he wanted to carry on fighting, but his team, and it's all his team. Don't put it on the team, don't blame Mark Tibbs. And I've got no problem here. If a team genuinely pulls someone out, that's their job, but that's not what happened. Mark Tibbs said, he weren't giving me the right body language, which means he jacked. And in fact, I'm also hearing that the audio confirms Mark Tibbs actually categorically said, "Can I put you in there for another round? Do you want to do another round?" And Billy said, "I can't do another round." In the first round he got hit, and I'm under no illusions. The reason Billy wanted out was, you can tell, if you watch the 8th round, Billy's legs were gone. His legs were shot. Yeah, he had no legs left. And the only reason he was surviving was his legs. His legs after 7 or 8 rounds had gone. And it was in that 8th round you see him slow down. He's no longer skipping in and out. And he realised, yeah, he did take a big shot, but he realised he would go and spark out. And he didn't want to be that guy. That there was the make or break moment. What are you going to do? Are you a warrior or not? That was the question being asked at the end of the 8th round. A warrior would have said, well, a bare minimum. I'm not even saying a warrior. A bare minimum fighter would have said, I'll give it another round. That's what a fighter would do, not a warrior. A warrior would say, I'm going to make a distance. Or better yet, the pinnacle of warriorism, would say, I'm not only going to make the distance, I'm going to win this fight. That's what the top god level dons would do. I'm down, but I'm not out. I'm still going to win. I've still got the belief I can pull it back from here. He didn't have none of that. He didn't want to do another round. I mean, some people were saying, and I agree, why don't you go in there and just tuck your chin down and give it a few? Give it another, you know what I'm saying? Let's see if you can get him out of there. Stick it on him. Not going to happen, but you're meant to be the warrior. You're meant to be the bare knuckle guy. You were the one taunting Canelo Alvarez. You were taunting Alvarez, telling him, you haven't seen heart like me. You haven't got a heart like me. That was the time to show it. We can all sit there and talk. We can all criticise everyone else. That was the time you needed to get them nuts out and show us the bare knuckle stuff. That's bare knuckle. Bare knuckle is when you get your face cracked. Bare knuckle isn't dancing around and running. When your legs run out, that's when the bare knuckle comes into it. That's when the warriors come into it. There was no warrior in Billy Ho. And the fact Eddie Hearn's trying to back him up and justify him, oh, no. Or he is a warrior, but it's his team. Or he is a warrior, but it's the 3 times scratching on his eye. That was a scratch, yeah? Not cracked. It wasn't 3 times cracked. It was 3 times scratched. Oh, well, Billy's 3 times scratched on his eyes. On his cheek. Billy had a scratch on his cheek, no doubt. And actually, before I go, in editing, I heard and listened back to all of what Eddie Hearn said about Dubois. And he's talking about, Dubois froze and Dubois was having to be convinced by his corner to carry on fighting. I think the issue's a little bit deeper than the actual cut. Oh, and Dubois' eye wasn't cracked. It looked like a bit of bruising and swelling. Wow. If anyone's looked like a bit of bruising and swelling, it was your man, Billy Ho. Bottom line. Eddie Hearn's supposed to be the true speaker. Fish Eyes is supposed to be the liar. This has been massively exposed now. Eddie Hearn will shill for a pound note. Really shill. Unbelievably shill. Oh, well, Daniel Dubois' issues go a little bit deeper. He froze. If anyone froze, it was Billy Ho. Daniel Dubois, to his credit, didn't talk all that greasy talk. He didn't talk about 400 years of warriors. He didn't talk about 400 years of bare knuckle being bred into him. I've heard Billy Ho say many times before he's been bred different. Oh, we're bred different, he says. Daniel Dubois wasn't talking that. So if anyone froze on what they said, again, Billy Ho said to Canelo, you haven't fought a heart like this. You haven't seen anyone like this. That's what you call froze.com. When it came to cashing that check in, Billy Ho froze. So you're right, Eddie. It does go a little bit deeper than his bruised eye, his swelling on Billy Ho's eye. You're right. And unfortunately, you're analysing the wrong Don. Because Daniel Dubois was in there taking lick after lick after lick off a 300-pound man. Could he have carried on? Who knows? My issue is, if they both quit, they both quit. If it's both only swelling, it's both only swelling. If it's both, you know what I'm saying? If they both froze, they both froze. You can't have one freezing and, Billy Joe's a warrior. Billy Joe's chin's amazing. Billy Joe didn't turn up to lose. Billy Joe did better than everyone else. Billy Joe's got a 3 times fracture. Don't make no sense. Billy Joe didn't go back in for one more round. Dubois went in there about 3-4 rounds. Again and again and again. Yes, arguably he quit, but Billy Joe, in my opinion, looks a lot worse than Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois was also less experienced. He talked less, he's less experienced, and he's fighting a much bigger and harder puncher in Joe Joyce, just based on the size. Pound for pound, obviously Alvarez, but 168-pound man, no way. is punching harder than a 260-pound man like Joe Joyce. The maths just don't work out. The physics doesn't work that way, unfortunately. And he was in there. He went back in there again and again and again. He fought his demons to an extent, Dubois did. And nonetheless, everyone piled on him. Billy Joe didn't fight no demons. Billy Joe got hit in the 8th round. His eye was fine. In the 8th round, he got hit. 90 seconds of running. And he wanted out of there. And you want to sit there and analyse Dubois' mental state. Well, you know, it goes a little deeper than that. He froze and his team had to convince him. Listen, Billy Joe's team didn't even get time to convince him because he was already out on the first round of trouble. This wasn't 8-round pasting where Billy Ho was hanging on. Many people had him winning at the point the fight finished. So if we're talking about mental problems here, if anyone's got mental problems, it's Billy Ho. The first round he had problems, he was out of there. So we can all sit there and criticise, oh, well, Daniel Dubois, his team had to convince him, his team had to tell him this. Billy Joe didn't even give his team a chance. His team said to him after the 8th round, do you want to can I give you one more round? Do you want to do one more round? Billy Joe said, get me out of here. Billy Ho said, I'm a celebrity, big mouth, get me out of here. Been watching too much ITV. That's what Billy Ho been doing. No doubt. He thought it was a reality TV program. He didn't realise it was real. And the thing is, I hate to say it to you, but I did tell you, man, on Friday. He thinks it's a bit of a joke, does Billy Joe. He thought it was reality TV. He goes in there and he thought he could push the big red button. Get me out of here. And Mark Tibbs reluctantly obliged. Mark Tibbs himself said he was frustrated that Billy Ho jacked because he felt that Billy Ho could have come on. So, since we're being so analytical, since we're being so psychologist about everything, let's stay consistent here, Eddie. Number one, where's your evidence? Where's your evidence it's not light swelling like it was with Dubois? Number two, where's their mental analysis? That's what we need to know.